council members could take their seats. If the clerk could call the roll. Here. 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 If Councilwoman Travis could lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Before we start tonight's meeting under general communications, I just wanted to thank all council members and the administration. I think I had said this last time, that it's a refreshing change to be able to actually ask directors questions and not have to run it through the chief of staff first. I think that you've noticed a difference in our council meetings and the length of our council meetings because we were able to ask for information. I noticed in finance there was an exception to that tonight that Councilman Lattisaw had mentioned, and it was held. But for the most part, I think that directors have been getting us information on a timely basis so that we can make decisions on items more efficiently, because we don't have to wait to get that information. And I'd like to welcome, as a change to council meetings, to have the mayor of the city of Warwick actually in the council chamber. I don't think that I've seen that in all my years where where a mayor actually comes. So I welcome Mayor Solomon to the chambers tonight, and welcome his input over the years and cooperation from his administration with this council. Hopefully the members of the public will see a difference in the efficiency of government and how long it takes to respond to issues within our wards. I know that I've seen multiple emails from all council members on different issues within their wards, and I appreciate being CC'd on those emails and getting responses quickly from the directors, and I think that our constituents are starting to notice that too. So as we all know, government is designed to work slowly, but hopefully this is going to speed up our response to situations with our own wards and overall policy. With that said, are there anything else under general communications? And by the way, we had a great parade, and I wanted to thank Councilman Corley for hosting us in his ward. It turned out to be a nice day, also a hot day. We had to sidestep a few landmines from the horses that walked in front of us, and we were grateful for the Pilgrim Band for giving us water. And Councilwoman Travis, you are a trooper, because I know you walked that whole route with a cane, and I know you were in pain. So with that said, is there anything else under general communications? If not, we'll move to the first item, which is the acceptance of minutes from council meeting held on May 7th, 2018. Do I have a motion for favorable action? Councilman Lattiser.
Move favorable action.
Do I have a second? Councilman Howe, Councilman McAllister. Any discussion? If not, we can go to voice vote on that. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Next item on the agenda is acceptance of minutes from council meeting held on May 21st, 2018. Do I have a motion?
Favorable action.
Favorable action by Councilman Lattiser, seconded by Councilman House, seconded by Councilman Corley, and Councilman McAllister, and Councilwoman Travis. No?
I abstained because I was absent that day.
Absent, okay. Anyone else? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Next item on the agenda is announcement of appointments. There are none. Next item on the agenda are appointments requiring confirmation. And first item is the Sewer Authority. Do I have a recommendation from appointments?
Hold till July 16th.
Hold till July 16th. Next item on the agenda is Kent County Water Authority appointments. So I have a recommendation from appointments.
First, we want to move for the withdrawal of the name of John Mulhern. He withdrew personally.
The recommendation from the committee is to withdraw. Motion's been made by Councilman Gallucci to withdraw the name of John Mulhern. Do I have a second? Councilman McAllister. Any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Marola?
Yes.
Mr. Corley?
Yes.
Mr. Gallucci?
Yes.
Mr. Howe?
Yes.
Mr. Lattiser?
Yes.
Mr. McAllister?
Yes.
Mr. Ricks?
Yes.
Ms. Travis?
Yes.
8 yes.
That stands withdrawn. Next item on the agenda is the appointment of Jeff Giusti to the Kent County Water Authority. Do I have a recommendation from appointments? Councilman Gallucci.
Favorable action, Mr. President.
Favorable action. Do I have a second? Seconded by Councilman McAllister, Councilwoman Travis, Councilman Lattiser. Any discussion? I would just like to say a few words, which I know for people watching at home, we also discussed this in the committee. I think Jeff Giusti is an excellent appointment to the Kent County Water Authority. He's a lifelong resident, Kent County Water Authority residential payer. He also is an owner of a commercial business that deals with sprinklers and underground irrigation. I know he's done work for us here in the city of Warwick. He's a general contractor, grew up here, went to Bishop Hendricken in the elementary schools here, very active in the community, and I think he'd be a great advocate for Warwick on the Kent County Water Authority. And as I had mentioned in committee, Kent County represents wards, or has residents in wards 7, 8, and 9. And I'd also like to thank our General Assembly delegation, both our senators and state reps, for getting Warwick an extra position on that board. I think it's been long overdue. And to have two positions on there, hopefully it will give us a greater advocacy on decisions that need to be made and impact our residents. With that said, is there any other discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
I'll move, Councilman, Mr. President, I'll move a favorable action on the
I think we
appointment.
moved it and seconded. Yep. It's been moved and seconded.
Okay.
Thank you, Councilman. If there's no further discussion, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Marola?
Yes.
Mr. Qualley?
Yes.
Mr. Galucci?
Yes.
Mr. Howe?
Yes.
Mr. Lattiser?
Yes.
Mr. McAllister?
Yes.
Mr. Ricks?
Yes.
Ms. Travis?
Yes.
8 yes.
The appointment of Jeff Giusti has been approved. Next item on the calendar is the consent calendar resolution relative to bids. Councilman Lattiser.
Favorable action.
Recommendation is for favorable action, seconded by Councilman McAllister and Councilman Howe. Yes, go ahead, Councilman.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Item 2017-045, Rescue Service Billing Administrator, favorable action. Number 2, 2018-061, Security System Monitoring, favorable action. 2018-064 has become PCR 10518. 2019-039, Gatsby OPEB, favorable action. 2019-043, Athletic Field Marking Paint, become PCR 106-18. 2019-044, Printing of Various Letterheads, favorable action. 2019-062, OSDBA Maintenance Contract, favorable action.
Thank you. Is there any, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on the finance docket? Any discussion on the finance docket? I know that we had many questions during the committee meeting and discussions with department heads. If not, the clerk will call a roll.
Mr. Marola?
Yes.
Mr. Qualley?
Yes.
Mr. Galucci?
Yes.
Mr. Howe?
Yes.
Mr. Lattiser?
Yes.
Mr. McAllister?
Yes.
Mr. Ricks?
Yes.
Ms. Travis?
Yes.
8 yes.
The finance bids have been approved. Next item. You have a PCR number. You pulled one item out.
Yes, we have two, Mr. President. The first one is 2018-064, became PCR 105-18. The committee has recommended favorable action with an amendment.
Okay. Could we have a second? Well, that's a recommendation. We have a motion.
Correct.
So we have a second by Councilman Howe. Councilman McAllister. Go ahead, Councilman.
The amendment will be to reduce the amount of increase from 40,000 to 20,000, and the code items will be reflected as such: 66-340, 1,500, 42-331, 3,500, 66-281, 15,000, for a total of 20,000. That's the amendment, Mr. President. Move favorable action on the amendment.
Okay. And so that's favorable action on the amendment, seconded by Councilman Howe, Councilman McAllister. Is there any questions on the amendment reducing it from 40,000 to 20,000? Any questions? If not, the clerk will call a roll on the amendment.
Mr. Marola?
Yes.
Mr. Qualley?
Yes.
Mr. Galucci?
Yes.
Mr. Howe?
Yes.
Mr. Lattiser?
Yes.
Mr. McAllister?
Yes.
Mr. Ricks?
Yes.
Ms. Travis?
Yes.
8 yes.
Okay, the amendment stands passed. Councilman, if you could move it as amended.
I move favorable action on PCR 105-18 as amended.
Do I have a second? Seconded by Councilman Howe, Councilman McAllister. Any discussion on this item as amended? Any discussion as amended? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Marola?
Yes.
Mr. Qualley?
Yes.
Mr. Galucci?
Yes.
Mr. Howe?
Yes.
Mr. Lattiser?
Yes.
Mr. McAllister?
Yes.
Mr. Ricks?
Yes.
Ms. Travis?
Yes.
8 yes.
That stands passed. Next item that came out of finance, Councilman.
is PCR 106-18, formerly 2019-043. It has been amended to extend it 6 months.
So let's get a recommendation first.
Favorable action as amended.
Okay. And seconded by Councilman Howe, Councilman McAllister. Did you have an amendment?
The amendment is to extend it 6 months, not to exceed $4,000 with an expiration date of November 30th.
Okay, and that's the amendment. Do we have a second? Seconded by Councilman Howe, seconded by Councilman McAllister. Any discussion on the amendment? Any discussion on the amendment? If not, clerk will call a roll.
Mr. Marola?
Yes.
Mr. Cawley?
Yes.
Mr. Galucci?
Yes.
Mr. Howe?
Yes.
Mr. Lattiser?
Yes.
Mr. McAllister?
Yes.
Mr. Ricks?
Yes.
Mr. Travis?
Yes.
8 yes.
Okay, the amendment stands passed. Councilman Lattiser, if you can move it as amended.
Move PCR 106-18 as amended.
Seconded by Councilman Howe, seconded by Councilman McAllister. Any discussion on PCO 106-18 as amended? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Marola?
Yes.
Mr. Cawley?
Yes.
Mr. Galucci?
Yes.
Mr. Howe?
Yes.
Mr. Lattiser?
Yes.
Mr. McAllister?
Yes.
Mr. Ricks?
Yes.
Ms. Travis?
Yes.
8 yes.
That stands passed as amended. Next item on the agenda is public comment. Do we have a sheet for the sign-up sheet? Okay, so this is public comment, Rule 41, after the general communications and prior to the consent calendar. At each city council public hearing meeting, there shall be a 15-minute period during which citizens may comment about Warwick city government issues, subject to the following stipulations. A, the total period of time for public comment shall be 15 minutes. Comments need to be brief in order to allow as many citizens as possible to participate. B, the topics for comment shall be issues directly affecting city government. C, city council members will not respond to questions during the public comment period. D, the public comment session will be terminated at the expiration of 15 minutes. Waiver of this provision requires unanimous consent of the council. With that being said, there were 2 members signed up, which would be split in half, so it'd be 7.5 minutes each. The first person is Joseph D'Antuono.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Joe D'Antonio, 40 Myrtle Avenue, lifelong Warwick resident. A few things. I just wanted to thank the council for giving me a few minutes to speak. It's very, very nice of you. A lot of respect. I just wanted to actually start with the rotaries, and I feel like the construction was kind of a pain in the neck, but the execution has been great. Trying to get through Apponaug has been a lot more enjoyable than it used to be, if we all remember the bottlenecking and whatnot. I feel like the DOT executed that well. A couple other things. I think the guys over at the city yard are doing a fantastic job. I remember when I was in high school, it was a very smelly place. It definitely had a lot of compost smell, and just the fact that they've put in some safeguards to prevent that. It's actually neater. It doesn't smell as badly as it used to. I used to live in that ward. I used to live on Cedar Swamp Road before. Again, as I said, a lifelong Warwick resident ever since I was a child. I used to live in Councilwoman Travis's district in city housing on Haswell Street. But like I said, I've been in that neighborhood. The facility has been cleaned up very well, and it's a nice relief to be able to go to that facility, show my ID, obviously my registration for my vehicle, and put any refuse that I have that's recyclable, meaning wood, non-painted wood, and the mattresses has been a great addition. It used to be a real eyesore in the city, seeing people discarding mattresses in an inappropriate way. So who's ever responsible for that addition, they've done a fine job. my applause to them. I have 2 children that go to public schooling. My youngest one is 5. He will be going to kindergarten next year, and we're looking forward to having 2 of our children in the Warwick Public Schools. They do a fantastic job. The teachers are very passionate. I find that my youngest son is going to be going to kindergarten with Ms. Zartarian, and she's been with this city for a long time. She was my kindergarten teacher. She was my oldest son's kindergarten teacher, and she just has this passion for the children and for the job, and it's refreshing to see that no matter what happens, this individual is a positive reflection of most of the staff and the faculty members of the Warwick Public Schools. They put a lot of work in. Obviously, the government, there's a lot of ups and downs with that, but the majority of these teachers do a fantastic job in staying positive for the children. That is very refreshing. I also wanted to mention, I was listening, not too long ago, I was listening to a newscast, and DOT President, Mr. Alviti, was discussing that he had this new revolutionary plan to do maintenance on the bridges instead of just waiting for them to fail. I just wanted to hope that going forward, this government could possibly adopt some sort of a preventative maintenance, not only on our roads, not only on our vehicles, but our buildings as well. Instead of waiting for a point where the infrastructure is deteriorated to a point where we need to replace, I'd rather work out a maintenance schedule of some sort. Mr. Alviti brought up some great points. If you guys are unfamiliar with that particular newscast he did, I would recommend just reading up on it because it's a fantastic idea. Also, I don't believe the airport has negatively impacted us as much as people had thought with the runway expansion. Me, myself, I'm not particularly a fan of the new Main Avenue, but you know what, engineers decided that, and I'm definitely not an engineer, so I applaud the fact that they had a very progressive approach. They wanted to expand the airport runway, and they did so in a professional and safe manner. Again, I'm not a huge fan of the width of the roads, but as I was told by Mr. Alviti with the rotaries, because some people were actually complaining that they were too narrow, the actual measurements on the rotaries are wider than the lanes in I-95, and I did not know that before getting a little tip from Mr. Alviti. So, to echo again, I know I talked about the compost yard, but I just also wanted to applaud the sanitation department. I find that they do a fantastic job as well. They keep their vehicles clean. They're not disgusting. They don't have a smell to them. I know they put a lot of work and a lot of pride into the fact that they want to keep their fleet looking nice. That's refreshing not to again have offensive smells all over the city. So I'm not sure how much time I'm on to yet. I don't see a clock.
You're about 2.5 minutes left.
2.5 minutes, okay. Well, I just wanted to say, the council members, council president, you guys have done a great job thus far with this transition, with the Honorable Mayor in attendance. I'd like to also echo that as well. It's not easy when you're in the middle of a term and you need to make such a drastic change, especially with Mayor Avedisian, with all the years that he put in. It's tough to fill a spot that hasn't been vacant for that long. So the fact that you guys were able to keep it fluid, you were able to keep on moving, is a testament to the hard work that you guys put in day out. I don't believe that the council and the people that are running the city get enough praise. Obviously, it's not easy what you do, but you know, when things go wrong, you guys are going to take the brunt of it all the time. So the fact that we have many members that continue to run and continue to be reelected is a testament to the integrity and the hard work that you put into this city, and I applaud you for that. Thank you again for your time. It means a lot to me to be able to come up here and say that. Have a good night.
Thank you. And the last speaker is Rob Cody. And that's also 7.5 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I'd like to start, I got a couple quick comments, but I'd like to say that, in fact, there is a noticeable change in the composition of the City Council, and it's very refreshing. And it's actually a pleasure to come to City Council meetings to be with all of you and express our opinions. And I'd also like to, I'd like to wish Mayor Solomon a long tenure, longer than the previous one, and by virtue of the way he has comported himself, things will move forward. Good luck, Mr. Mayor. I do have some comments, and maybe not criticisms, but comments. But, you know, I wanted to first talk about the budget. You know, we increased the budget $18 million in 2 years, and I keep hearing it's the year of the taxpayer. And I'm really hoping that someone can point out to an issue that really has benefited the taxpayer. And I really don't see it. I'm just wondering where the taxpayer fits into this equation other than in the funding formula, right? $18 million in 2 years. They're not picking up my garbage twice a week. If my house catches on fire, the fire department's not going to put it out twice. And the $18 million is increased all legacy costs and raises. Let's face it. It's raises and legacy costs. There's nothing here for the taxpayer, right? We don't have any line items going towards services or senior centers or sanding the roads in the wintertime, things of that nature. And the other thing is, I think what we missed out is an opportunity to put in a provision to ensure efficiency. We haven't seen efficiency in a long period of time. And an example, we've got no money for GPS. Again, no money for GPS. It's 2018. Every one of you use GPS every single day when you're going to work. Our city vehicles are running around the city, no GPS. We can't monitor, we can't even come up with a program for efficient consumption of fuel. Very simple, basic, and inexpensive. I'm disappointed that we haven't done that. And you know what we need? We need a quality assurance manager in this city to preside over the departments to make sure that they're operating efficiently. Also, I didn't want to bring this up, but through a series of emails, I'm really disappointed, and it's my opinion that the current city solicitor, Mr. Ruggiero, should be terminated. It should be terminated immediately by the administration for a number of grounds. First of all, Mr. Ruggiero has presided over collective bargaining agreements for a number of years. Those bargaining agreements have had such loose language in them that anybody could challenge them and most likely prevail. As during the budget hearings when I gave you a presentation, the language in some of these contracts is completely contradictory to the paragraph before it. And because these areas of these contracts are so loosely written, it's exposed the taxpayer to areas that can be manipulated. I mean, this is factual evidence. And we need to have somebody that is there for the taxpayer. The taxpayer has no seat at that table, right? And we have a budget that we've passed the budget, but we have collective bargaining agreements that we don't know the impact of them. So that's a problem. Secondly, Mr. Ruggiero continues to interfere with the APRA process. Even as much as this week, I've asked for certain documents, and I'm being put on hold and getting, you know, the runaround again for simple documents that I've gotten actually in the past in a couple of days, 2-page documents. We need an extra 20 days. It's nonsense. I sent a letter out to some of you. You've received it. I expect on Wednesday, under the law, to be able to inspect these documents. It's my right under the law. And I have a feeling that I'm not going to be allowed to do so. And I've given ample warning or ample notification that I would like to look at a couple of documents. And these are the things why people get upset. One other thing I want to just really touch upon, I was delighted when we saw that we're going to put $5 million into paving. The problem is, being in construction, I know what goes into paving, right? What I'm concerned about is when you look at the time frame that the asphalt plants closed down, they closed down December 15th, right? We haven't had inspection of areas. We don't have a list of our priority streets that are going to be paved. The engineering's not done, and no RFPs have gone out. So let's say that we can magically do that in the next 2 weeks, and by July 1st, all that's in order. You need to spend between $200,000 and $250,000 a week to expend that line item of $5 million. And that's considering that you go right up until the asphalt plants close, and then you get a perfect May where you can pave for 4 weeks. Does anybody think that's possible? I don't think it's possible. I mean, it's a great thought. We all want the roads, but first comes the inspection, then the engineering, then the RFPs, and then we develop the list of priorities. I haven't seen that. If it does exist, I would like maybe Mr. Krinker or somebody to bring it to my attention, because I would really like to see it, to see if we do have the ability to be successful in that, which would be great, and if we don't, where does the balance of that money go? Does it get transferred to another line item? You know, I think we also need to develop a system that's really transparent. When we do transfer line items of monies that's not used, we follow them and we track them and we let the public know. Because right now, you know, some of the general public, including myself, think that we have slush funds and, you know, that the budget is stacked. And we need to be able to see that it's not. And finally, with regards to the fire department contract, that's a point of contention with the council and with collective bargaining. Evidence was brought to this council and to this administration that clearly there is problems in the fire department, right? Clearly. These problems could be considered manipulation, but these problems could also be considered organized fraud. We've seen it with the sick pay. The city documents prove it. We've been paying out way too much money, and it's not one or two persons that have been involved, it's a number of people. It's a problem. Right now, the city council has a unique opportunity. You know there's problems, right? The administration has a unique opportunity. We have been manipulated by this group for a long period of time. Now is the time where you need to play hardball, and you need to go to this union and say, here's the deal. We're chasing all this money that was ill-gotten gains. We want it from the current people, from the retirees, and maybe we're going to press criminal charges. But we want it back because it was not done correctly. It was manipulated. What we'd like to do is we forget all the past, but you capitulate to some certain demands by the administration that favor the taxpayer, getting rid of things. We need to do that. It's just time that we have to tighten our belt. We're not running the ship efficiently, ladies and gentlemen, and we need to do it. So I implore everybody to look at this, look at these issues, and we need to look at how can we streamline our problems, how can we take steps to develop solutions, and then finally, once we have a series of solutions that are possibilities, act upon them and implement them. And I have the utmost faith in the City Council, and I look forward to seeing what takes place in the future. And I congratulate all of you for your hard work. Thanks so much.
Thank you. So I'd like to thank Mr. D'Antonio, and sorry I butchered your name when I introduced you, and also Mr. Cody for their comments. As the ordinance says, we can't respond to any of those, but they're welcome comments because we all take them seriously. And with that said, we'll move on. Unfinished business. First item on the agenda is PCO 1318, Comprehensive Plan, Amendment to the Future Land Use Map, Benefit Street, Assessors Plat 244, lots 48 and 50, Harrington Realty, LLC, petitioner. And this is for second passage. Do I have a recommendation from Land Use?
Recommendation is favorable action.
Okay, favorable action for second passage to Councilman McAllister.
I move for favorable action on PCO 13-18 for second passage.
Do I have a second? Councilman Lattisaw and Councilman Gallucci. Any discussion on second passage? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Marola?
Yes.
Mr. Pauly?
Yes.
Mr. Gallucci?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Mr. Lattiser?
Yes.
Mr. McAllister?
Yes.
Mr. Ricks?
Yes.
Ms. Travis?
Yes.
8 yes.
Stands passed, second passage. Next item on the agenda is PCO 1218, an ordinance relative to a zone change petition. Benefit Street, Assessors Plat 244, lots 48 and 50, Harrington LLC, Harrington Realty LLC petitioner, and this is for second passage. Do I have a recommendation from Land Use?
Favorable action.
For favorable action, Councilman McAllister.
I move favorable action for second passage on PCO 12-18.
Do I have a second? Seconded by Councilman Galucci, Councilman Lattiser. Any discussion on second passage on this item? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Marola?
Yes.
Mr. Corley?
Yes.
Mr. Galucci?
Yes.
Mr. Howe?
Yes.
Mr. Lattiser?
Yes.
Mr. McAllister?
Yes.
Mr. Ricks?
Yes.
Ms. Travis?
Yes.
8 yes.
Okay. Let's see, next item on the agenda, and that stands passed. Next item on the agenda is PCO 3-18, Rocky Point Ordinance to protect the rights of private property owners. That's for first passage. I understand it's not drafted. Health, education, and welfare is a recommendation.
Hold until August 15th.
Hold till August 15th. Next item on the agenda is PCI 9417, bid number 2017-147, State of Rhode Island Telecommunication Services, Installation and Parts, Committee Report, Finance.
Hold August 15th.
Hold till August 15th. Next item on the agenda is PCI 14817, bid 2018-143, installation of sprinklers at Cooper Building, Drill Hall. Committee Report, Finance.
Hold August 15th.
Hold till August 15th. Next item on the agenda is PCI 16517, sale of former Christopher Rhodes Elementary School property. And do I have a recommendation from Public Properties?
The recommendation for a continuance.
Okay, and I understand the sponsor, Councilman Ricks, would like that continue. The recommendation was actually September, but we were looking, Councilman Ricks is asking that we hold that till the first meeting, the only meeting in July. Is there any objection to that?
No.
If not, we'll hold to the first meeting in July. July 16th. Next item on the agenda is PCR 17317, bid number 2018-172, purchase 1 2018, excuse me, Peterbilt Model 520 with Labrie Auto side loader. Committee Report, Finance.
Hold August 15th.
Hold August 15th. Next item on the agenda is PCR 16-18, tree damage claims. That's not drafted. Committee Report, Public Safety.
Hold August 15th.
Being held to September 5th.
I'm sorry.
It's being held till September 5th. Next item on the agenda is PCR 4518, bid number 2018-243, medical evaluations for Warwick Fire Department. Committee Report, Finance.
Hold September 5th.
Hold till September 5th. Next item on the agenda is PCR 6218, bid number 2018-275, Type 1 Medical Rescue Vehicle. Committee Report, Finance.
Hold August 15th.
Hold till August 15th. Next item on the agenda is PCR 6318, bid number 2018-278, purchase 1,500 GPM pumper fire apparatus. Committee Report, Finance.
Hold August 15th.
Hold till August 15th. Next item on the agenda is PCR 6918, a resolution to establish a Bucky Brook Advisory Committee. I understand that's not drafted. Committee Report, Health, Education, and Welfare.
Hold this one till August 15th.
Hold till August 15th. Next item on the agenda is PCR 78-18, bid number 2018-269, statistical reappraisal of all real property located within the corporate limits of the City of Warwick effective December 31st, 2018. Committee Report, Finance.
Withdrawn by the Chief of Staff.
So motion to withdraw, and Councilman Lattiser, if you could make the motion to withdraw.
Motion to withdraw PCR 78-18.
Second from Councilman Howe, Councilman McAllister. Any discussion? I believe they're going out to rebid on this, Councilman?
They are, Mr. President.
Okay, so this will come back before us. If there's no discussion, the clerk will call the roll to withdraw.
Mr. Marola?
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Mr. Galucci?
Yes.
Mr. Howe?
Yes.
Mr. Lattiser?
Yes.
Mr. McAllister?
Yes.
Mr. Ricks?
Yes.
Ms. Travis?
Yes.
That's 8 yes.
The motion stands passed to withdraw. Next item on the agenda is PCR 9818, 2013-215, State of Rhode Island, janitorial supplies. Committee report, Finance.
Committee recommends favorable action.
Recommend favorable action for action, Councilman Lattiser.
Move favorable action on PCR 98-18.
Seconded by Councilman Howe, Councilman McAllister, and Councilwoman Travis. Any discussion on this, janitorial supplies? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Marola?
Yes.
Mr. Corley?
Yes.
Mr. Galucci?
Yes.
Mr. Howe?
Yes.
Mr. Lattiser?
Yes.
Mr. McAllister?
Yes.
Mr. Ricks?
Yes.
Ms. Travis?
Yes.
8 yes.
PCR 98-18 stands passed. Next item on the agenda is PCR 100-18, 2019-26, printing of master voter books for primary and general elections. Committee report, Finance.
Committee recommends favorable action.
For action, Councilman
Move
Lattiser.
favorable action on PCR 100-18.
Seconded by Councilman McAllister, Councilman Howe, and this is the books that we need for this year's elections and primaries, is that correct?
That's correct, Mr. President.
Okay, is there any discussion on that? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Marola?
Yes.
Mr. Corley?
Yes.
Mr. Galucci?
Yes.
Mr. Howe?
Yes.
Mr. Lattiser?
Yes.
Mr. McAllister?
Yes.
Mr. Ricks?
Yes.
Ms. Travis?
Yes.
8 yes.
PCR 100-18 stands passed. Next item on the agenda is PCR 112-18, 2019-35, sand. Yes. I'm sorry. I'm going to go to bifocals, I think. Okay, so this is PCR 102-18, 2019-35, sand, grit, gravel, loam, and stone. Committee report, Finance.
Committee recommends favorable action with an amendment.
Okay, and the recommendation is for favorable action with amendment. For action, Councilman Lattiser.
Move favorable action on PCR 102-18 with an amendment.
Okay, seconded by Councilman Howe and Councilman McAllister. Go ahead, Councilman Lattiser.
The amendment, Mr. President, will be to reduce the vendors to the following: Cardi Corporation, Lopes, Richmond, Material Sand, P.J. Keating, and Dry Bridge.
Thank you. Do I have a second? You're moving that as the amendment, correct?
That's the amendment.
All right, seconded by Councilman Howe and Councilman McAllister. I understand, Mr. Chairman, that at the Finance Committee meeting, the director indicated that there were, I think, 10 original bidders that the department was recommending, but on reflection, they've never used 4 of those bidders, and they think that 6 would suffice, in particular in the wintertime, to provide us with sand, grit, gravel, loam, and stone for the rest of the year. And that we would be able to choose depending on the price and availability of those products between the vendors, and that we did not need 10. Is that correct?
That's correct, Mr. President, and kudos to the director, because this is something that the Finance Committee as well as the Council has been pretty much hammering away at for a very long time now, with keeping these bids competitive, not going with 10 or 12 different contractors, and he did his due diligence, reduced it down, and we appreciate that.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded, and the amendment's reducing the number of contractors from 10 to 6. Is there any other discussion on the amendment? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Marola?
Yes.
Mr. Corley?
Yes.
Mr. Galucci?
Yes.
Mr. Howe?
Yes.
Mr. Lattiser?
Yes.
Mr. McAllister?
Yes.
Mr. Ricks?
Yes.
Ms. Travis?
Yes.
8 yes.
The amendment stands passed. Councilman Lasser, if you could move it as amended.
Move favorable action on PCR 102-18 as amended.
We have a second from Councilman Howe, Councilman McAllister. Any discussion on this item as amended? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Marola?
Yes.
Mr. Corley?
Yes.
Mr. Galucci?
Yes.
Mr. Howe?
Yes.
Mr. Lavaseur?
Yes.
Mr. McAllister?
Yes.
Mr. Ricks?
Yes.
Ms. Travis?
yes,
8 yes.
PCL 102-18 stands passed. Next item on the agenda is new business. There is none. And for referral and advertising, there is none. Is there any unanimous consent motions from Ward 1?
No.
Pass. Ward 2?
Pass.
Ward 3?
Pass.
Ward 5?
Pass.
Ward 6?
Yes.
Ward 7?
Pass.
Ward 8?
Pass.
Let's move to adjourn to the docket session. Councilman Galucci, if you could move us.
Move to adjourn to the docket session.
All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? All right, we move to the docket section. Ward 1, anything for docketing?
Pass.
Pass. Ward 2.
2 items. First, resolution relative to placing a stop sign on Essex Road at the intersection of Fairfax Drive.
Okay, and that will go to public safety. Yes, Councilman.
Second, resolution relative to placing signs on Conn Street at the locations of Blanchard Ave and Bellevue Ave.
And I believe that will go to public safety. I believe, Councilman, those are both supported by traffic studies also, correct?
Correct.
And they're attached to your resolutions.
They are.
Thank you. Councilman Howe? Pass. Pass. Councilman Lattiso? Pass. Ward 6?
Yes.
Pass. Ward 7?
I have one resolution to the RI State Commission and the RI DOT requesting a traffic study on Post Road from the Greenwood Credit Union into Apponeok.
That'll go into intergovernmental. Ward 8?
I have one in conjunction with Councilman McAllister regarding a proposed revision of the 2013 Rhode Island Recreation Acquisition and Development Grant Program. This will be in conjunction with CDBG funds and has to do with, Gorton Pond, Kettle Street, etc. Doesn't require any city funds. It's a $100,000 grant.
I think that impacts us financially. It could also go into intergovernmental, but I'll put that into finance department. And I do not have anything to docket.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Just one thing, if I could, before we adjourn. So we're kind of accustomed to that gavel being slammed so the windows vibrate. So if you could like put a little more energy into that gavel.